Welcome into the Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Happy to have you with us. On today's show, we have the latest Baltimore Ravens news and rumors, those including Lamar Jackson, also an update on the offensive coordinator search. We will get to both of those things and more in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, Ravens fans, if you have been a fan for 5 years or more, here's what I want you to do. Like today's video. If you've been a fan for less than 5 years, and that's okay. We know we have younger fans out here, or the flock is growing day by day. Just go ahead and go in the comments section and tell me how long you have been a fan of the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get started with today's show. The search for the next offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens is on, and we got a couple of updates over the last 48 hours of who that next OC could be. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Ravens have requested to interview Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Here's what Schefter said. Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy has been requested to interview for the Ravens offensive coordinator job per sources. Bieniemy also remains under consideration for the Colts head coaching job that he interviewed for and the Titans OC job, amongst other situations. Now, Bieniemy is a popular name, and I think he's done a very good job in Kansas City. I know we've seen some frustrations at times between him and Patrick Mahomes arguing back and forth on the sideline, but to me, it just doesn't add up. The idea of Bieniemy leaving Kansas City for a lateral move. Remember, they're about to play in the Super Bowl here. I don't see him leaving Kansas City for another offensive coordinator job unless he was fired and then was looking for another job. But, I mean, why would they fire the OC that helped him get to the Super Bowl? That's a whole nother thing. I think if Eric Bieniemy is leaving Kansas City, it's to be a head coach somewhere. Bieniemy would be a great hire. I think if you're Baltimore, you are thrilled if you make this hire, but that just might be a reach of some sorts to think that he's coming to Baltimore leaving Kansas City. Now, here's what's interesting. Besides just the Bieniemy factor, over the last couple days, my personal favorite candidate for this job, who I've been telling you about before this job even opened, interviewed. He got the phone call and interviewed for this job. That would be Todd Monken of the Georgia Bulldogs. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network writes, the Ravens interviewed Georgia offensive coordinator Todd Monken for their OC job this week. Per source, Monken has been eyeing a potential NFL return and also is slated to speak with the Bucs. Remember, he was with the Bucs and the Browns as an offensive coordinator previously. He's won back-to-back national titles with the Georgia Bulldogs as their OC. And I will continue to preach this tune once again. I'll say it over and over again. Hire Todd Monken, please. To me, this would be a great fit for the Baltimore Ravens if they can bring in Todd Monken to be their next OC. He's always done a great job of adapting to his situations, to the circumstances that present himself. I think he would do the same thing with Baltimore. He would be a really good fit for Lamar Jackson. If Stetson Bennett can win 2 national titles with Georgia, then I think that we could see Lamar Jackson's play elevate a bit with Todd Monken as OC. So, let me know who will be the next Ravens offensive coordinator. Tell me in the comments section who that is. You're about to get an ad break. Take advantage of it. When we come back, you will see a segment from earlier in the day on NFL Daily that I hosted here on Chat Sports, where we talked about Lamar Jackson, his potential destination of where he'll play next year, as well as some of the other top quarterbacks across the National Football League. Besides Brock Purdy, what about some of these other names across the NFL? Where will some of these top quarterbacks end up in 2023? We're going to go through some big names, and I think I might have some surprises here for you. Let's begin with Aaron Rodgers, who I think personally is the best quarterback that's going to be on the market this offseason. And I think that he will not be a Green Bay Packer. I think he ends up with the New York Jets. And ironically enough, I think he follows in the footsteps of his predecessor, Brett Favre, who went from the Green Bay Packers to the New York Jets. This year was a down year for Aaron Rodgers. 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, about a 65% completion percentage, and just under 6,700 yards. And I believe that Aaron Rodgers still has some great football left in him. Don't get me wrong. This, to me, is more about the Packers than it is Aaron Rodgers at this point in time. The Packers are closer to a rebuild than they are to being a contending team at this point. They have a lot of holes, a lot of weaknesses, and if you're Aaron Rodgers, where you're at in your career, with the age of where he's at right now, he doesn't have time to be sitting through another rebuild. If Aaron Rodgers wants to get another Super Bowl ring, if he wants to get those MVPs he desires, it's got to be with a team with a better roster. And the Packers are a long ways away from being where they need to be for Aaron Rodgers to compete for those championships and for those MVP awards. So for me, I look at it that way, that this marriage is likely coming to an end. It has been rocky the last 2 or 3 years ever since Jordan Love came to town. I think the Packers would like to see what they have in Jordan Love, quite frankly. But to me, New York, that team makes sense for Aaron Rodgers to potentially end up there. So that is my prediction. I have him ending up with the New York Jets, who are just a quarterback away. That Jets team took some tremendous strides this past year. Remember, they hired Nathaniel Hackett as their offensive coordinator, who, of course, was the OC in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers not too long ago before taking the Denver Broncos job. So that's how I see it happening. What say you, though? Let me know in the comments section. Aaron Rodgers will not be a Packer next season. That is our true false statement for today. And if you agree with that statement, type T for true. If you disagree with that statement, type F for false. Let me know in the comments section. T for true, F for false, if you think Aaron Rodgers will be back next season in Green Bay or not. Next up is Lamar Jackson. And I personally am of the belief that Lamar Jackson will be back with the Baltimore Ravens in 2023. And I think that a long-term deal is going to get done. Look, we've heard all the right messaging from both parties involved, that Lamar Jackson wants to be a Baltimore Raven. He has said that all the way back to last offseason when they were in the middle of negotiations. And the Ravens have said even recently, John Harbaugh said not too long ago there was a 200% chance that he would be back with the Ravens, that he's going to have a say in who their next offensive coordinator is. Now, think about this. What did we tell you with the Packers situation? That the Packers were in a predicament where they were closer to a rebuild than being contending, right? Well, the Ravens, you look at this team, and with the way that they're shaped and the way they're built, the Ravens are not far off, in my opinion, from that top tier of the AFC, of the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities, the Cincinnatis of the world. And to be a part of that equation, to be one of those contending teams, it's a lot easier if you have that franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson there, as opposed to moving on from him and starting over and trying to find a franchise quarterback. You look at the history of that Baltimore franchise with guys like Trent Dilfer, Kyle Bowler, Joe Flacco. No one has compared to Lamar Jackson. That franchise has been waiting a long time to find a franchise quarterback of Lamar Jackson's caliber, and I don't think you want to hit the reset button to try searching for another quarterback again. It's easier to pay Lamar now than it is to go on the hunt to find a franchise quarterback again. Lamar coming back to Baltimore makes too much sense for me. They can make that work. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code NFL Daily, you can get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, get $125 to spend for free. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. Super Bowl odds are out for the big game here in a couple of weeks, and the Eagles are an early favorite at this point in time, a 2-point favorite to be exact, with the over-under pretty high, expecting a high-scoring shootout between these two teams with the over-under at 49.5. Get your bets in now, chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. Let me know what you are going to bet on, whether it's the Eagles or the Chiefs, or if you're going with the over or the under. Let me know in the comments section who you got and what your bets will be. Get your bets in now, chatsports.com/bet. The next quarterback, let's talk about Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is done. I think he is going to retire at this point in time. And, you know, you look at what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was a success. He won a Super Bowl his very first year. His second season, they went to the playoffs and ultimately ended up losing to the Rams. And then last year, this past season was just a disaster. I mean, it was. And don't get me wrong, I love Tom Brady. I will always be a Tom Brady fan. But, I mean, you have to be blind to look at this team and realize that Tom Brady was not the same quarterback that he was previously. And I don't want to be a guy that turns into a meme later that Tom Brady, ends up going back on the comments I said. But I'm willing to go ahead and put this out there. I think Brady's washed, in all honesty. It is time to hang it up. We know about the divorce and all that. I'm not going to go into any of those details. But in the actual truth of the matter here, what does Tom Brady have left to prove? He's 46 years old. It wasn't good last year. And I know people are going to make the excuse, well, he didn't have a run game. Well, the previous 2 years, the run game wasn't that great at Tampa Bay either. And if your solution for Tom Brady is to go to Las Vegas and play with a dumbass like Josh McDaniels, you're going to be mistaken. That's not going to go very well. That might actually even go worse than his time in Tampa Bay. To me, it doesn't make sense. Tom Brady, we've seen it all. You've had a great career at this point. I don't think he's got anything left to prove, and I don't think going to Las Vegas is going to help his cause either. So I think it's time for Tom to hang it up. What say you? Should Tom Brady retire? If you think he should, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let us know in the comment section of Y for yes and for no if Tom Brady should hang it up. We are your off-season headquarters here at Chat Sports, covering the NFL each and every day with the latest news and rumors, free agency, trades, and more. We're counting down to the draft, the Super Bowl just around the corner. This is the place to be. If you love the NFL, if you want more daily NFL coverage, you got to subscribe right now for the latest happenings across the National Football League. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe for free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/@ChatSportsTV. Couple more names for you to get to on the quarterback destinations. Let's get to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo ends up with the Washington Commanders. And Jimmy Garoppolo, what we saw in the limited time that he played this year for the San Francisco 49ers before he got hurt, he didn't look bad. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 2,400 yards passing. Jimmy G will never be a top 15 or top 20 quarterback in this league. But when you look at the bottom tier of quarterbacks, there's always going to be a spot, I think, for Jimmy G, at least at this point going forward. If you go in with the expectation with Jimmy Garoppolo that you are not going to have him go out there and throw 40 touchdowns, if you are willing to accept that he can be a game manager, but he's shown time and time again he can still win those big games, I think you can make that marriage work. Jimmy G does not need to be your long-term solution. He's never going to be a franchise quarterback. But if you can figure out a way where he can be paid fairly and be in a situation where he doesn't have to do too much, Jimmy G is just fine as far as I'm concerned. Washington, Ron Rivera, we know that his track record with quarterbacks is not so great. That Washington team had some good runs at points this year. But the quarterback play going back and forth from Carson Wentz to Taylor Heineke was a disaster. Garoppolo could bring some stability, and he could be like the last decent quarterback they had there in Washington, which was Alex Smith. So Jimmy G to Washington, that one seems like something that could make sense. Ron Rivera's got a lot of pressure this year. This could save Rivera's job potentially. Last one on the list, Derek Carr. I have going to the New Orleans Saints. And in the Saints situation, I know what some of you are thinking, that the Saints would like to have Lamar Jackson or they would like to get a young quarterback. But the way things work out in the draft order and the position that they're in, I don't feel necessarily good about them be able to get the quarterback that they want when it comes to the draft. And I don't think Lamar's leaving. I think you go with a veteran like Derek Carr for now, and then you hope to get that quarterback next year or sometime soon. I just don't think this is going to work out. And when you look at that coaching staff, there's a lot of question marks there about what's going on in New Orleans since the post-Sean Payton and Drew Brees era here. I'll say this much. I think Derek Carr ends up there, but this is not an endorsement of Derek Carr. I think this is the beginning of the end for Derek Carr. Things did not end well with the Las Vegas Raiders. And now you go to New Orleans, I don't think all of a sudden he's going to find some success he didn't have previously. To me, I think that Derek Carr would struggle no matter where he goes, even if it's New Orleans, Vegas, I don't care wherever. I'm not confident about Derek Carr. If I'm a Saints fan, you end up with Derek Carr, I'm not very excited about that either because it's not going to end well. So, where do you think Derek Carr ends up in 2023? Let me know in the comment section. Tell me a team that you think that he will play for in 2023. You can also let me know on social media as well. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. Talking about the National Football League on all those social media platforms. And I will see you next time right here on NFL Daily.